we are almost ready to start gluing some gills on. The one little problem I haven't mentioned yet is this area here, because of the shaping of the lure, is a little bit round. So if I put a flat piece of cardboard on there, the tips are going to stick up. So what I do is I bend this gill to get a better fit. And then when I've got it lined up, I push down and I want to give it a little bit of glue here, and then here, and then here, and then once that dries, and it should dry very quickly, I'll put a few more drops of glue around here and that'll be that gill. So I'm using a brand new super glue. I believe it's a medium. I hope it's a medium. So let's start doing this. Got an extra piece of paper on here in case I spill something. Okay, it seems to be coming out fairly normally. I'm going to look at it real careful. Okay, and we're ready to do the first little bit of gluing. Right along the edge. Now, one of the things you can do with super glue, you get one swipe. If you've got a little bit too much, you got one swipe. Two swipes, and you glue the napkin to the lure, which is not a big deal. You can sand it off, but as long as you know that you have only one swipe. So now what I got to do, this one is still sticking up this little corner here. Oh, can you see that? It's still sticking up a bit, so I've got to actually hold that with my finger. Now, getting perilously close to the glue with my finger, but that's okay. We'll press down and let that glue sneak underneath. Now remember, the object is to not glue it everywhere around, because we're going to come back with this extra thin glue and flood the area and let that thin glue permeate throughout the gill. So depending on how the gluing went, now you can go on this end. Now this end, I don't know, can you see that? It's very, very tight, but I'm still going to put my thumb on it. And this definitely is the medium stuff. I can tell the way it runs. Not sure if you can hear my cat in the background. She's annoyed that she's not part of the movie. Okay. Well, that is pretty much done. So because this fits so well, I'm going to give it a little bit of a shot here. Shot here, and again use my Kleenex just once for each one, and one on this back side. And we have our first gill, our first 3D gill. Wow. Now, as easy as that is, there's some other things that are going to make our life a little bit more difficult soon enough, but we'll get to them. So remember that we want to add this second gill after we've already flooded it. So we can't put that on right away. We've got to come back for that one, because we're going to have to flood the whole thing with this light glue. Let it dry for about an hour, and then we'll add that last second gill on later. So right now what we can do though is we can work on the fin. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is, since you saw me cut this in part 2, I was playing with it, and I looked at it here, and it seemed disproportionately big for the size of the lure. So what I did is I cut it down. You won't be able to tell that, of course, But now I also have to bend it to meet the contours, to better fit the contours. And I line it up. This one's easy. The second one is tougher because now you've got to match one that's already there. So right now this is one that is the first one. So what I do is I line up this edge to be kind of straight with the lure, and I go back and I do the exact same thing. I take a little bit of medium CA glue. It's always good to go back and check, make sure you haven't moved. Okay. Again, now I like to do one end and then do the other, and that kind of nails it. Now, it also helps to have some sort of metal tool. This is the one I use for gouging out the wood. And right now, this side fin is sticking out a little bit. So I need to put a little bit of glue under there, but I need to push that down, but I don't want to push it down with my thumb. And I'll glue my finger, sure as heck. Let's do that. We're going to be sanding over this later, but you don't want things sticking out. You just hold it there for a little while. That's got it. And I'm going to another drip around here and another drip around here. Top of the fin seems to be sitting nice and tight. So when we flood this with the very thin stuff, you're going to be seeing me hold this at an angle like this, so there's no way my fingers are going to get glued. That's the plan. So let's hope we get there. I'm going to do the other side now. I probably am going to speed through it. You've seen it once. So unfortunately my battery died and I couldn't film putting on this other one. So I just thought I'd mention how I did it. You want to keep them symmetrical. So I picked a spot on the first one, drew a little line over, and then I measured it and brought that measurement over and put a little spot there. And then I did the same thing for this one. Again, I used the caliper here to measure it. And that way, this one is identical to this one. Now, the next phase is putting on this thin glue, extra thin. One of the things I want to warn people about is the safety issue with this. It puts out a lot of toxic stuff. So I have brought in my face helmet, complete face helmet. I've also got a fan that I'm going to turn on. I'm going to open up a window. Normally I would do this out in my garage. I'd wear the same stuff, but at least I'd keep the smell out of the house. But we'll try this and see how it goes, so bear with me. So I've let the blank lure sit for a couple, well, maybe 2 hours, just in case there's any puddles of CA glue there that might want to take a little bit of extra time to harden up. You can kind of tell that the glue is permeated the cardboard when you tap on it. It's this is the wood, and this is the gill, and so this is not going to fall off anytime soon. Matter of fact, you might have to use dynamite to get it off. But one of the things that we're going to do next, of course, is we're going to take the second gill patch. Now we're going to make sure it's on the right way. This one is not right. This is right. And we're going to back up a little bit from this edge here, and we're going to have to bend it like we did last time. But it's always a good idea, before you glue on this patch, to give it just a little bit of a rub with sandpaper. Oh, something like 80 grit or 100 grit. That knocks off any lumps here that have formed from the CA glue. And of course, now that they're hard, they'll just leave gaps which you don't really want. So I'll be back in about, from your point of view, just a couple seconds, but it'll take me 4 or 5 minutes just to give this a bit of a stroke with the sandpaper. You can really tell how tough this CA glue is when you go to use the sandpaper on it the first time, and it does not sand easily. Now, you may be able to notice that there are some cross hatches, and it kind of looks like a bug screen, because it's kind of in both directions, and you see it on the fin as well. So one of the next steps that we have a little bit farther down the road is we're going to put an aluminum sticky tape over this, and then we're going to scribe fish scales on it. Now, if we were to do that and not take care of this crosshatch, that would telescope all the way through that aluminum, and you'd get funny looking scales with a crosshatch. So I have a filler here that I use. It's an Elmer's filler. This is actually very, very smooth. It's actually an interior filler, but we're going to have all kinds of covering, 3 layers of 2-part epoxy on this, so that's not going to be a problem. And this particular one is white. I like to use white at first because when you start sanding, you can tell where it is. If you use brown colors, sometimes on wood, of course, it just disappears, and on this cardboard, it disappears as well. So this Elmer's glue is, or filler rather, is just fabulous. So we'll be getting to that pretty quick. So now we want to use the medium CA glue, and we're going to go through the same routine. Now, one of the things you gotta do, of course, is make sure that the gill is oriented in the second gill actually is oriented in the right direction. And remember, we're going to pull it back a little bit, just so it's easier to fill. Now, you can see how much it sticks out because it's flat. So now we have to do the bending of it. Bends very easily. It's looking pretty good. T for top. Just a reminder, because it's very easy to get these backwards. So let's tack it down, and then we're going to flood it again with the extra thin. Don't get ahead of ourselves. There's one drip. Two drips. It's on my finger. That's a danger. One on the back, at least one. That will rise up on you when you least expect it. Okay, so we're ready for the next one.